we've got a video of Nate here throwing. And down here, we get a bunch of numbers. So very very detailed. We get a lot of his actual joint angles if we want those. So you can actually get the joint angles specifically. But this summary tab here is going to kind of show you some highlights. So this 100% number here, basically saying in his kinematic sequence, which we see under this tab, we're seeing that his pelvis fires, then his trunk fires, then his elbow extends, and then he gets that internal rotation. So we're seeing those things happen in the order we would expect for them to happen. So that's where that 100% number comes in there. And like I was saying, you can see some of these graphics, but that's the most kind of detailed type thing. We also have some stuff like arm path. So this arm path number, instead of saying it's short arm action or long arm action, this is in units of his body height. How far does the wrist travel in 3D space between front foot strike and ball release? So this is saying, and compared to our database we have of about 1,000 pitchers now, he's got a little bit of a longer arm path there. And part of that's just the fact that he's just such a big guy, right? He's just such a huge person. Some of the other numbers we've gotten here, arm speed. Arm speed is literally what is the peak velocity that your hand achieves in the direction of home plate. And all of these kind of these screens here, we show you the number here, but then that bar graph along the bottom, that's basically showing where do you stack up compared to the rest of the population that we have there.
Is there anything below that, the light blue? Oh, because that is the bar graph you're talking about.
That's the bar graph down there. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and we've got elbow torque in that as well, but kind of the way that I have always found the easiest way to communicate biomechanics is through comparison. So, we've got Nate there, and, Nate's a big leaguer with first round pedigree and, throws 104 miles an hour. But we make it pretty easy for you to be able to go in and actually start comparing against other people. If this shows up for me.
We had you one podcast too late. Should have had you at 104 for Nate Pearson.
Yeah, that's the Nate number.
Yeah.
So if I pull up, Nate's report here, and then I compare him against, somebody near and dear to my heart, really kind of one of the inspirations for me to actually get into baseball biomechanics.
Favorite player. It's the weirdest thing ever. Minnesota.
Your mom's got
lady.
Great taste.
Right? Big time Timmy Jim. That's one of the best
Oh my God,
commercials
this is amazing.
So if we start looking at some of these things, let's look at stride length here. This is a great example, right? So those kind of action figures up at the top, I can drag this cursor and you can really see the difference in how those two guys throw, right? Two hard throwers, but they really move quite a bit differently. Look how close Lincecum is to the plate there at that stage. But one of the things that, Tim did that was just so unheard of was just his stride length was so long. And you can see Nate's kind of right around average with respect to his height. And that's in units of, percentage of your total height. But the red line there is showing, Lincecum's stride length was just so much longer when it comes down to, units of his height.
What about stride speed?
What's that?
Stride speed?
Stride speed, that's not one that we have in there. We do have if we get into some of these numbers up here,
that'd be really easy to do because that would show you how long they're striding. You could take video of it, and Coach's Eye has a timer in it. You could, that's an easy metric you could create, John.
That's something that we're interested in is stride
Absolutely.
Speed and then hand speed to release from the bottom of what we call the gun. So there's a lot of stuff that we talk about with throwing.
And kind of this is the type of thing, when we're talking about where we want to factor this into the whole development, these are the metrics we've kind of pulled out now. But a lot of times, they're just little things that we've never had access to these data before en masse like this. So these types of ideas are huge. We absolutely want to include these as we go in the system. And those are great ideas to keep including in there.
Yeah, there's a thing we talk about with the follow through that we feel is very important, where the arm shouldn't hit the body. You should give the hand and the arm the most amount of follow through distance. and things like that. And I feel like this app is something that we could actually quantify those things, especially with like, you know, most kids don't know what max effort is with like location, right? And so if you have the video of it with, you know, you can see it and you can overlay this. I wish I had the video. I have one video of me throwing 96. That's it.
Yeah.
One. And I wasn't even in America. I was in Panama. And it was like the over the shoulder video from the stadium at Ron Cruz Stadium and stuff. And like, you can barely, it's just too far away for you really to get a lot out of it. And the, you know, the video quality is 30 frames per second on the internet. Dad recorded it, you know, screen recorded it back in 2016, 17 or something like that, you know? So